Oosh, 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 oosh. Welcome to the 4th episode. Back with my brothers, Maxwell, sweet as honey, and David Bjorkstrom. Welcome, guys, again.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
So we're gonna start this podcast off a bit heavy, as I had some unfortunate news the last week. One of my closest childhood friends, the guy actually who got me into martial arts, he got me into ayahuasca, he got me into psychedelics. He hung himself, and this is my 5th friend in the past decade who's committed suicide. And exactly 9 years ago, just one day apart, another friend of mine, he jumped from his balcony. And this is a big issue that I do wish to address. Male suicide rates are skyrocketing. 500,000 globally a year. 1,500 men a day and 60 men every single hour kill themselves. And as with my friend, like me and him were so close. I'm not gonna reveal his name out of respect for his family. But we were so close. Like even when we were 16 years old, we did a blood pact together. Literally on the beach, we took a knife and we cut our hands, and then we shook and we wrote in the sand with our blood this whole creed, this whole pact that we made together. Wow, hardcore, I know.
Yeah.
And this really opens up the subject of male mental health as well as addiction, because I know he had a lot of addiction in his life. And this is a subject that I wish to talk about with both of you, because the both of you have had also experience and struggle with addiction, as with myself. And before we get started on this topic, I do wish to clarify, as David talks about a lot, which is addiction doesn't have to be something negative. Like you can be addicted to, sex, drugs, food, but you can also be addicted to working out. You can be addicted to music. You can be addicted to, I don't know, even like meditation, for example.
Martial arts
And
social media.
social media. Yeah. Addiction covers an infinite range. So I wish to start by asking, each of you, perhaps maybe you can share your experience and also like what the definition of addiction means to you, and how it impacts men, and what's the root cause. And then later on in the podcast, we can get to perhaps a way through addiction.
Yep. David, you.
Yeah, sure. I can share my thoughts. So I guess right now, the common conception about addiction is that it's something that you're born with. Like at least in NA and in rehabs, they talk about the disease, the addiction disease. And it's kind of like a gene, and you're born with it, and you'll die with it. And there's nothing much else you can do, they say, other than to manage it. Which means you have to orchestrate your surroundings in certain manner so it doesn't trigger you. Stay away from certain people, certain places, substances, things, thoughts, behaviors, and so on. And so that's what they teach you in NA, at rehabs, to say that, hi, my name is David and I'm an addict. And for the rest of your life, you're going to brand yourself as an addict. I don't know, man. That thing is, it never really jived with me, because every time I said it, I kind of got a knot in my stomach. Like, man, I'm not an addict. Because I never wanted something that made me feel safe and protected. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be a man who can be be who I am and do what I want to do without needing anything really. Like all the power and everything comes from within me. And so yeah, I think that's one misconception. But then when you go further from that, you start talking about addiction being like a physical thing, a physical addiction. Like you use a substance so much that your physiology becomes dependent on it, and if you stop, you get withdrawals, and that would be the reason why you're using drugs all the time. Because people are, I don't want to use that drug because it's so addictive, which is a reasonable thing to say, but at the same time, like if you don't have a pain, if there's nothing like aching inside of you, and you take a substance, this substance removes that pain, well, then you have a problem. Because without this pain, like why would you sacrifice your whole life for a behavior that's not really giving you anything other than in the future it's just pushing off your withdrawals if you feel good without it. And so I think the real problem when it comes to like addiction is pain. You have trauma, you have things that you want to get away from. So really it's just a distraction. And so here I wouldn't make any kind of difference between a heroin addict and an 18-year-old girl who's watching TikTok all day and seeking validation through bikini pictures on Instagram. It's the same behavior, different results.
They're different, right?
A heroin addict has quite a different life than this girl, but they're both trying to distract themselves from the pain. So now when people they go to treatment, they go to drug treatment, and they treat their drug dependency, and the drugs is removed, but then you still have the pain. So you see that a lot, like you talked about these more healthier addictions, which is really good in the beginning. They come out of treatment and they start training all the time. So, but still, like you still have this pain, and I guess your mother, she's very happy that you're going to the gym every day and downing protein shakes or like jumping from relationship to relationship even, rather than I don't know, stealing her piggyback money and snorting speed in her basement. But you're still doing the same thing.
Right. So a lot of people, I mean, like to me, like I've never met anyone who doesn't have some sort of addiction to something in their life.
Yes.
To mask something. And I think a lot of people with more severe addictions, they'll just jump from one substance or one method into the next, where they still form that that pattern of distraction and just substituting it with something else.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a lot healthier to replace heroin with exercise, obviously, right? But that does, like, what I've gathered you're saying is that doesn't really get to the root cause of it. Because this is something that we've all discussed. It's that, like, what does it mean to be free from addiction? If I am addicted to this bottle of water and I haven't used it in fucking 10 years or something, and every single day I'm just like, I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to use it, that addiction essentially still has a grip on your mind.
Yes.
Whereas you want to kind of get to the point where you're like, oh no, I can drink whenever I want. It's like,
Yeah. Right.
it's no dramas, if it's not there, it's okay as well. And I think our definition aligns with that concept
Right.
a lot better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's a little bit cliche, but they say healing is feeling. I mean, that's really the work here. The work is, it starts with maybe getting rid of some certain habits, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting rid of the distractions and getting in touch with and feeling that feeling that's suppressed. And that's how you really heal. Because now, as you said, like you come out of rehab, and then you just jump from thing to thing to thing and just keep on distracting yourself. But really the work is just stop distracting yourself completely for a while and feel. And then you can re-engage with these activities from a place of like curiosity and like excitement and like, oh yeah, I wanna train, I want to like check social media. I want to go out. I want to do this thing or that thing, whatever it is. But it's not coming from this place of like, I have to.
Right.
Yeah.
So this brings up something that maybe takes it down a different trajectory a little bit. But so when I was first kind of coming out of my addictions as a teenager, I was going, as I mentioned in our last episode that we were all together, I kind of replaced the desire to use substances and alcohol with martial arts. But somewhere in there, at the same time that happened, something broke also, where I had this realization that instead of, I guess as you're saying, David, instead of looking to something to fill a void, I would start asking my body, what is it that you need? In the transition from just giving my body things to, do I actually need to eat right now? Do I actually need to drink the water right now? Do I actually need to exercise right now? That transition opened up that sensitivity that you're talking about my emotionality, about what am I repressing with anything that I do all day long. So anything that I do all day long, I could be using as a mechanism to repress something that I don't want to feel. And there's no specificity to the thing that you're using. The thing that you're using literally could be the way that you walk. It could be some way that you hold yourself in the world that makes you feel a little bit safer and a little bit more in control. And you do that habitually in order to protect some part of yourself that is uncomfortable to move in a different way or to be seen in a different way. And so for me, that was really huge. But the extension of that, this was why I got into addiction in the first place. It wasn't really about, I mean, the state changing was fascinating. I liked changing states and just experimenting with, oh, what's this state feel like and what's that state feel like? And I think that was what kept me on the train, was the state changing. But in addition to that, my big repression was Big Brother. When I say big government, Big Brother, authoritarian powers that would literally, I would feel this weight of judgment from the outside that would compel me to rebel against the system that was in place to control me. And for me, I had to go at that. That was my core. And it came from my parents, but it extended to just the rule set in society and culture that says it's okay to go to the bar and drink alcohol. It's not okay to do a line of cocaine. It's not okay to smoke a joint. And in the US, I mean, you guys aren't from the States, but I mean, in the US, so many people I know had that same pattern. They had the exact same pattern that I did. They didn't necessarily get into it because they liked changing states. They just felt repressed and they were like, fuck you to anybody that's going to tell me how to live my life. And they did it because of that. And that when I really got into those dynamics, I realized that was an extension into every relationship I had in my life. My partners, my parents, my family, that same authoritarian force was everywhere. And I had to confront that interpersonally with the people in my life. And that's how I really healed it. It was with the people. It wasn't with, I can't do anything about the government, but I could address and have a conversation with somebody I'm close to who has that same sort of like, I'm going to tell you what to do kind of energy. And just by confronting it, I would feel more free. I would feel more free in my body and less like, okay, I don't need to repress as much because I feel more free. I stood up to this force and this force is no longer in my face because I did something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a pendulum effect. Hey, it's like the more, as you said, the more someone forces their views onto you, it's literally just a natural instinct, like a rebellious instinct in us to be like, yeah, no, fuck you. Like, you don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do it anyways.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And, I think like, freedom is really what it's all about, and giving people the freedom to decide for themselves what's right or what's wrong. It has a more permanent, if positive effect on the choices that they make. It's just like the countries that decriminalize all illegal substances have shown a huge improvement in the rate of violent crime, in the rate of assault, in a lot of overdoses,
gang violence,
gang violence, and that kind of stuff. And sometimes I wonder also, because like you have the addiction, you have the root cause of the addiction. Once you face the root cause, sure, you can it's going to be a lot easier to deal with the addiction itself. But then there's also, I think, the problem of boredom. Like, people are just fucking bored. And when you're bored, you just want to do something exciting, right? And that can also be a gateway to form another addiction as
Right.
well, you know. And I think like being able to understand that, like, you know, boredom is just caused from an overstimulated mind. And that's why all these meditation practices, you know, they seem boring at the start, but what it gives you is just more and more peace, and your thoughts get to quiet down a lot more. And you're just more okay with not necessarily doing nothing, but you're more okay with like stillness and just sitting with yourself,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also boredom is also like an initiator for distraction.
Right.
It's like I'm sitting here and I'm feeling something and I don't like it. And so I get a little bit anxious and fuck, you know, I'm bored. I want to do something. Like, why do you need to do something? Maybe you need to just sit down and feel what's there, because the boredom can be, yeah, you know, kind of like an addiction. Like, I'm addicted to just doing stuff. Like, I can't just sit still and feel this because it's so overwhelming. So I have to just keep on doing things all the time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, even like healthy addictions, like if you're addicted to exercise, it can be a mechanism for you to avoid, I don't know, spending time with your partner or your family or your friends. Or that's why people who are workaholics, like, it's like if they don't work, they've got no identity.
Right.
Who the fuck are they?
Yes.
If I'm not the manager or the CEO or this guy or that guy, then who am I? People don't know that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
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 I mean, on the note of just movement and exercise and kind of, a distinguishing, I guess one distinguishing piece, I don't know where this would go in the conversation, but there are physiological, let's just call them biological imperatives that we have that are long-standing imperatives that in a way unlock dormant energy and abilities in us when we do them reasonably. And I would say that exercise or just movement, natural movement, would be probably the biggest example of that, aside from eating, because we generally need to eat. But aside from that, I mean, you can use anything to repress, like you said, relationships, not address things in your life, not know your identity. You could use anything in exercise. You see it a lot. I think in a lot of men, that is actually kind of a big addiction. I've in martial arts too, like, and that's where I started to rub shoulders in not the best way with some of the people I used to train with, because I realized that they were there all the time and they were beasts. They were awesome at what they do in the dojo, in that environment. But outside of that environment, they were untenable. They had no emotional reciprocity. There was no connecting with them. And in fact, they were quite volatile, even though they were doing all of this training. I think it's less the case in martial arts than it is with other things, but even there, you do see it. And I know we've talked about this.
Yeah. I think martial artists have one of the biggest egos in the world, because it's not like the ego of martial artists is literally one of the most primal things, because we think we're the shit because we can ultimately like kick your ass or like end your life or something like that. And you know, in the male machismo ego realm, it's like that's the ultimate. Like, if a guy can beat your ass, like he's the man, you know. And martial arts, just for the record, like I was a professional fighter, and it has been one of the most damaging addictions that I've had, because I've had like probably 3 surgeries now. So many heavy injuries that affect me to this day, because I couldn't let go of that identity that I had to be the man, and I always had to be the guy in the room that if anything goes down, I'm the guy that can handle it, or no one can challenge me, or blah 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 blah.
Right.
You know.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, lots of experience with that.
Mm.
Yeah. So okay. Another big topic is suppressed sexual energy, especially in men. you know, and I think my friend who offed himself, I think this was one of the biggest problems he faced in his life, which was how to channel that sexual energy. Because in my opinion, right, sexual energy is like the main dormant innate energy inside all of us, men and women. But I'll since we all have lingams here, like we can only speak on behalf of men, right? At the end of the day, like when sexual energy is suppressed, it becomes fucking violence.
Mm.
And that's why, in my opinion, the energy of sex and violence are so similar.
Yes.
You bring up something so raw and so primal in you. And when you can't express that energy or release it, because most men release it, right? Jack off, watch porn, go have sex with someone. If you can't do either of those things, it's like a fire that burns you up inside, you know? And I think many men, from all the conditioning, from social media, from the media, from even just like the over sexualization of females,
Mm.
we have this idea in our minds that if we're not having sex, we're not living life. We're not a real man. You know, if we can't get girls, we're not a real man. And so many men fall into that trap. And you know, you can go one of two ways, right? You can like fucking become an incel and internalize it and then get very violent towards women or blah 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 or whatever. And then you can go the other way. It's where you like get into game and the red pill movement and you just want to like pick up as many girls as possible, and that ultimately really just damages your soul. And and I speak to both of you here because both of you are one of the only men except Adam, which he's a guy I work with, who I know personally that have practiced semen retention for extensive periods of time. And I've done so the same with myself, but nowhere near as long as you guys have.
Mm.
And maybe I can get an idea of what it has done for you and what, like, the honest feedback on whether you guys actually believe it's really beneficial, how to make it balanced, and how that journey has been for each of you, you know? So
Yeah. Nice. David, do you want to begin? Do you want me to start? Uh-huh. Whoosh. Yeah. Big one. Yeah. Big one. Well, okay. So I guess I'll preface with a little bit of just my personal story around it, because it maybe gives a little bit of context. So I first started kind of seriously about it about 12 years ago. Okay, so about 12 years ago, I started to take semen retention quite seriously. And I did, as you're alluding to, bump into what could have been avoidable roadblocks pretty quickly into it. And it's back to the first part that you said around violent, untenable energy in your body. That was the first thing that I noticed, that I didn't have a context for how to transmute other than training. I didn't have a context for transmuting that energy inside myself that was not just going to the heavy bag, going to do some rolls, whatever it might be. That was the only outlet. And so I would use that outlet anytime it got unmanageable. But I went in to the deep end pretty much straight away, and I did 6 months, my first stint. So my first stint, it came on the backside of reading 2 books by our guy Montauk Chia. Okay, it came right on the backside of reading 2 of his books. But my interest initially is not my interest now. My initial interest was about the longevity benefits that it can provide specifically to men, because of just the raw, intense energy that our seed has, that it could literally like be transmuted and circulate through your whole body to give you longevity, to help with vitality and energy and hormones. And that was my initial interest. Then it very soon became something where I realized that as long as I was practicing and it was moving in my body, I was able to have much better conversations with my significant others. I was able to transmute energy for them in a way that I was not able to do when I was freely releasing on a regular basis. So that transition, that then became my primary reason for talking to other men about it. It wasn't so much like, yeah, you're going to have the longevity benefits at some point and feel really strong. But also, like, the big one is you're going to see in the relationships that you're in that you're picking up on patterns in other people that you would never see if you were releasing on a regular basis. They just would not be there. You would never notice. And so anyway, a little bit more, but 6 month stint kind of broke it for maybe 2 or 3 months, where it was just like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do or if I'm doing it wrong. I didn't have any mentors. I was kind of winging it. But then I got back into it and I did 4 years. And during that 4 years with my former partner, it basically turned into a practice with her where both of us together were in agreement that I was doing this thing, that I was going to keep doing it. And so we had to find other ways to transmute the irritation, the frustration that would arise in sex, in just interactions. We had to find other ways to deal with the energy. And in myself, I guess I noticed most primarily, I noticed that I would get frustrated. I would get frustrated with her before I would get frustrated with myself. So I would notice that when I was getting too much, we call it jing, we talk about jing. That would be, in Chinese medicine, the main energy that you're trying to work with when you're doing semen retention is jing. And that's the primordial energy that men carry. That's like really intense. It's the 15th round of a boxing match. That it's what you tap into when you have nothing left. The jing comes up and takes over. So that's what you're working with. And I had a lot of jing already because I run hot. I'm on the fire end of the doshas, and I run really hot. So because of that, I did have to do a lot of other things. But again, I would notice that I would get angry at others first. But a lot of the men who were friends of mine who would do the practice, they would internalize the anger. So they would be practicing, let's say, 2 weeks initially, and somewhere around the 2-week mark, they would tell me, I'm fucking pissed, but like, I don't like myself. Like, it would turn the emotional volume up on self-loathing. And I think that is I don't know, but I think for a lot of men, that's the hump that you have to get over when you start the practice, because you get depressed in the first, I'm going to say, month. You get depressed almost no matter what, because your emotions are starting to come up, and the only way you've ever known how to deal with it is by releasing your seed.
Ooh, yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, that fucking resonates. Very awesome, man. I think most men just deal with sex addiction on different levels. Can you speak a bit more about the actual methods that you have used to transmute that energy? Because from what I know is that our semen is literally when we store it in our body and channel and circulate it up our spine, it turns into bioenergy.
Right.
Because it kind of is just like a plasma in our way,
Right.
So can you speak on the methods specifically that you've used to transmute that energy and what that feels like, what that looks like? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting super technical now. I like it. Okay, well, so making this succinct and not too complicated. So, okay, initially, what you're saying about where the energy begins in your lower chakras. The energy starts and begins in your lower chakras, and it feels irritating in your lower chakras. I think if men really paid attention to the sensation is a literal feeling of blocks and irritation from about the solar plexus down. So anything that you can do, and this is where I began, anything that you can do to soften the fascia and the tissue in the lower chakras is a nice starting point. And I would say I did not do this alone when I figured it out. When I figured out that was what was causing a lot of my, anxiety and aggression in regards to doing the semen retention, I did something called Zen body therapy. And this was right around the time when I was at like 2 years into that 4-year stint. I met a Zen Roshi, who did something called Zen body therapy. And basically the entire practice was him using different parts of his hands, his knuckles, his elbow, to basically like really manipulate very hard the fascia in the lower chakras of the body, and using the heel of his foot on the perineum. So like right under the balls. So I would be laying on my back on the ground, and literally with his heel, he would dig his heel into my perineum until I was screaming. But on the other side of the screaming, you would get this flush of like opening all the way up to the top of your head, which is quite literally what you're describing.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew about the orbit because of Montauk Chia, but I was trying to do it alone, and I just could not do it alone. So on a stage progression level, I now would highly advise anybody who wants to really get into it and is willing to commit to it, don't try to do it entirely by yourself. Try to find a body worker that you're comfortable with, who knows something about the fascia, maybe even the chakras, and can help you to, in the moment, in real time, open up those channels so that you know what it feels like when it's circulating in your body. Because if you're sitting alone trying to do the microscopic orbit and you're trying to feel it, almost invariably everyone gets to where they can feel the orbit get to upper spine, maybe up here somewhere, and then it doesn't come back down. You don't feel the cycle moving through your body. It gets trapped. And I know methods for doing it on myself. And I mean, an extension of this would be breath work. Breath work is now key. I do it every single day. And anytime there's a buildup of that energy that feels a little bit edgy, too much fire, too much jing, I lay down and I do 10 or 15 minutes of breath work. And I do it right into the area below the navel, right into that area. So sometimes breath work, you're doing diaphragmatic. This is into the lower belly, right below the belly button. And that's really useful too. Does that align?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's like what you mentioned about the fascia, which, most people, they grow up with some knowledge on our muscles and our organs and our skeletal structure, our nervous system, but people don't emphasize the fascial network that is literally, everyone has 10 to 20 kilos of this soft tissue that connects every single piece of our material body together. And oftentimes when we have trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma, our fascia creates blockages.
Yes.
And if we do not work, especially on our fascial network,
Yes.
these blockages are going to stay there no matter how much you work out, you pump your muscles, or you fucking
jog,
whatever.
There it is.
It's gonna fuck you up in the long run. So I definitely do encourage people to do more research about the fascia in the body. But yeah,
It's just sorry, but as an extension of this, just because it's interesting and maybe the audience will find it useful. So another thing that highlights just how interconnected these pieces are. As of late, I'm getting into fascial work quite heavily, and the area from the temples down to the bottom of the jawline and inside the mouth, down the vagus nerve on either side, this whole area correlates directly with the psoas and down the backs of the legs. So both directions, if you're working on opening up and relaxing your psoas, it will influence the relaxation in your jaw. But if you can't do that because you're too tight and this is all just locked up, you can have someone who knows what they're doing work just on the face and the jaw, and it will open the fascial network in the lower body. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, amazing.
We've done some of this.
Yeah.
You're nodding with the like affirmative. Yeah. I know what this is.
I've screamed a couple of times from the. Yeah, I guess I can. I can share my story as well. So 8 years ago, when I got sober, I stopped using drugs. I went to rehab, and I went to live at a halfway house and so on. I switched my addiction, and I switched the two things, which was it was training and it was porn. And these two things, they continued distracting me. And another thing that happened was that when I got sober, I had such a bad social anxiety. Like I couldn't look someone in the eyes and talk. I was just looking in the ground, and I was mumbling, and I was sweating, and I was shaking just from a normal conversation with, a person that I know. And already then I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna stay like this. I had big dreams, and so I wanted to do something big. And I was like, all right, what's like the biggest thing that makes me the most scared out of everything? And so I was like, yeah, I guess like speaking in front of people, like a group of people, and holding like a speech, that's like the worst thing possible. And so I was living at a halfway house, and the halfway house had like a big basement with like sofas, and every week there came in some students there who were studying to, take care of people with addiction. And the people who run the halfway house, they would go down there and they would speak to these people and tell them about the place. So I was like, hey, guys, could I like tag along and tell my story? They're like, yeah, sure. So I go there, and, all these students are there, and it's a disaster. Like, I'm just mumbling in the ground and I'm sweating and I'm shaking and, oh, my name is David and I'm an addict. And it was the most horrible thing ever. But, I did it again and again and again, and I kept on doing it. And yeah, I mean, after some months, holding public speeches was my main source of income. So I was doing it in front of like hundreds of people, and it was something that I really enjoyed. I was still scared every time, but a big thing of breaking that social anxiety was actually stop watching porn and stop jerking off. Like I did a lot of work also, just, I was filming myself and I was in the mirror like hours per day and practicing my voice and all of this, but there was just something energetic about that. And I can't say what it was. But I was reading about the semen retention and I give it a shot and I stopped, and it just shifted everything so quickly. Like just the fact of being able to hold eye contact with another human being, just like night and day in a couple of weeks.
Right.
And so, and I also got into it through Mantak Shia. I remember I read the Multi-Orgasmic Man, his book about that. Yeah, it's a classic. So that, that gets you motivated. That gets you motivated. So yeah, ever since then, I've been kind of going back and forth, and I have periods when I really dedicate myself to it, and then periods when it doesn't really work out. The one thing that's been consistent is like staying away from porn and not overindulging in it. But now I've been on a good stint it's been a year now, and yeah, I mean the first month is really hard, like very, very hard, and still it comes like phases of this irritation and this energy being stuck and having wet dreams and so on happened in the beginning. But the trick for me was qigong.
Yeah.
Like learning about, like, all right, it's an energy. It's an energy. It's not a primal need to spill it out of me, which is kind of like what everybody thinks. Like sometimes when I talk to girls I'm dating and tell them about this, they're like, oh, I thought men had to come because otherwise they kind of explode or something. But yeah, like learning about that it's an energy and that this energy needs to move. And if it's not moving, I'm going to get frustrated. And qigong for me was the way for me to learn how to move it through my body and into activities, because it is a creative energy. It's used to create children, or it can be used to create art or music or a business or whatever. So yeah, learning how to channel and move the energy has been the key for me.
Just a link to what you said about the first couple of months, since we've talked a little bit extensively around this. So I think the common consensus when you're starting, when you haven't done it very much or at all, is something around 90 days has been what I've gathered from like the community of people practicing it. But the other thing, bridging it a little bit with addiction, just to say there are levels of semen retention that bridge with this, which we all know about, the no FAP kind of mentality, which I just wanted to add. I've gone on stints of adding this in, which is what they call hard mode. I think we're familiar with hard mode, but hard mode is what you're alluding to.
Monk mode.
Yeah, monk mode, which is like, not only are you not masturbating, looking at porn, but you're not looking at women generally. You're diverting your attention. Every time you catch yourself, you divert your attention away from women, even in real life. And what they've shown, it's brutal, obviously, because we're completely primally wired to look all the time. But what they've shown is if you have active, like, let's call it anxiety, addiction, depression, the speed at which you can reset yourself Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the speed at which you can reset the brain and your nervous system is exponential if you have the discipline to just do it for a month. So a month of hard mode is, 10x what you're going to get from just semen retention alone in terms of the brain, in terms of your attention, your concentration. It's like, but it's, again, it's the extreme of like, I'm not going to look at anything stimulating, hypo-arousing, gets me in that charge. And, and just doing it once, I mean, you could do it at a Vipassana. That's a good way to get started because you can't do it anyways. So that's how I did it. I went to Goenka for 10 days and then I did another 7 days immediately after. And I just decided, okay, well, I'm here anyway. So I'm going to do the hard mode from here. And then afterwards, it wasn't as bad as it would have been if I was in the world. And that was a nice way to hit a stride.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah. And there comes in again what we talked about earlier, like you said, with the water or with drugs or with whatever, like the point is not to, for the rest of your life, stay away from the thing that is causing your problem. It's about changing your relationship to it. And until you've changed your relationship to it, you are at the mercy of that thing. And so even if it's drugs or it's training or whatever, like you need to change your relationship to it, and doing it like this, like hard mode. I mean, that's the way, because after that you realize that, holy shit, like I don't need this, which doesn't mean that I will never use it or interact with it. It just means that I am so safe in myself the way I am and as I am, that I can have fun with it.
Right. Yes.
It doesn't have any power over me. I don't have to be scared about it. I don't have to be scars about it. I can just enjoy it.
Yes.
I mean, that's the final goal. But to get there, it's just hard.
Yeah.
I'm on.
Yeah, I agree. I think like every man has to go through a period of hard mode or monk mode just to get a taste of what it's like. But if you're living constantly in monk mode out of fear, and if you demonize the thing, it's gonna fucking eat you up even more, And like even when we talk about we stop jerking off and we stop watching porn, like I don't want to send any judgment to any men out there who do those things. There's no shame and guilt.
Zero.
We're not the church, And that's another reason why religion in my opinion, has backfired for all these centuries, is because they demonize something without compassion, without understanding. They just go straight to, nah, that's wrong, that's the devil, that's fucking this and that.
Yeah.
And people lock it away. You just lock it away, and it builds and it builds and it builds. Which, I do also want to talk about is because, the whole way that this matrix, this material matrix or this system operates is to get us addicted.
Right.
Is to have us thinking about pleasure, dopamine
consumption.
Yes. And as a man in this day and age, it's so important to have discernment as well with what you're surrounding your environment with,
Yes.
and what you're getting distracted with. Because like it just takes awareness to catch yourself when you're walking down the street. You see a billboard of a girl in a bikini, or you're scrolling on Instagram. You see something that excites you and it causes a physical reaction in your body. You just create that awareness to know, oh, this is the pattern. This is what's happening.
Yes.
I'm just doing something out of boredom or distraction, and it's stimulating something in me for me to feel something. And once you have that awareness, it gives you more space to take other routes of action.
Yes.
So we're working with a lot of systems as well in place that keep us trapped in this matrix.
Just as a side note with the religion side, I mean, it's no coincidence that all of the Inquisition torture devices, more than 85% of those devices were centered around male and female genitalia.
Yeah.
Almost all the torture devices used in the Inquisition were about torturing people by destroying and ripping apart their genitals.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just went back into that like a week ago just because it just came up on a podcast and I looked it up and thought that was terrifying. And
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
wild. That's
Yeah.
wild. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We definitely. Yeah. It's a tricky. Like as a man in this life, you really have to have a lot of discernment. You know, because as what we were talking about is like someone. You know, like people who like preachers and stuff who are so like every day I have to talk about God. I have to talk about this veganism, fucking saving the animals, fucking whatever it is. If you're so extreme, what that shows to me is that you must be so scared of being wrong. You must be so desperate for something to be right.
Yes.
So there's a man who is really like strong in his beliefs. He doesn't really need to impose it onto anybody.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
he can suggest it,
Right.
but it doesn't become the focus.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
you know, as
Yes.
as Ramdas says, like if you're just like forcing your beliefs onto someone, it just means that your faith is so low. That you need someone else to jump on board to reflect that faith to you.
Yes.
Whereas if you're strong here, it's like, okay, you do what you want, you know, it's
Right.
I'm good. Like
Right.
whatever. you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's way too little of that in the world today. Of like, you know, I really believe in this thing, and I think this is good, and you got your thing going on there, which is cool. It's opposite of my thing, but you know, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's how the world exists. It's unavoidable. We have polarities. There's always gonna be an opposing side, and we get so trapped into this idea that we have to fight the other side, and we need to be right, and you guys are wrong, and we're creating this distance between people.
Right.
Well, actually, it's like, nah, I got my thing, as you said, and you got your thing, and that's fine. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
That's needed.
Yes.
Like the world doesn't go around without it.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Beautiful. Yeah. That was it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and to know that, you know, like that there is, I wouldn't want to call it a war, but there is definitely an agenda where there's a reason why, you know, like they even like how like something like Facebook or Instagram, it's like they get all the greatest minds in one room, and it's just like, how can we make something so addictive that nothing can break their distraction? The more you scroll, the more addicted you get. And it's also the same with like the agenda of like guilt tripping us as men for our innate primordial energy, which
Right.
is, you know, has to do with, we were talking about this before, a big part has to do with testosterone,
Yes.
right? And speaking of that hormone, the men who are most likely to fall into depression, anxiety, and have suicidal thoughts are men with low testosterone.
That's correct.
You know?
Yes.
And I'm not saying that you have to get your testosterone high and be like this macho guy. No, but I'm saying testosterone is a big part of the life force inside all men. And if your testosterone levels are low, you know, you should get that shit checked out.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, getting your testosterone up is not, I mean, it's not a rocket science.
Right.
It's like sleep, eat properly, like stop eating junk, stop eating shit, stop eating stuff that doesn't make you feel good, drink a lot of water, sleep 8 hours at least per night, and, you know, exercise, take care of yourself. You get those basic things in order, and it's just like night and day. Because I mean, one thing, yeah, is just your mental health. Like you're not gonna feel good, but also you're not gonna be of any use
Yep.
to the world because you're weak. And so a lot of people who just are not applying awareness, are not like seeing the patterns, and are pushing against things that are like obviously not bad for humanity. Well, that's people who, you know, their testosterone is low. And that's also where it comes in, this just following the herd. Like, we don't need more people that follows the herd. We don't need more people that are just doing what everybody else is doing. And before they make a decision, they kind of look around and see, what are you guys doing? And then do the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, I think like low testosterone is a huge problem actually. It's not just like an individual mental health.
Yeah.
It's like us as a human species
Yes.
problem.
Yes. Yeah.
for sure.
Wow. Nice. Well said.
I mean, like physiologically as well, when a man's testosterone is low and his estrogen is higher, we start to turn into women. You know, we start developing tits and fucking like get more emotional, which is nothing wrong with emotions. But when emotions are to a point, like we're not women, they live in a completely different emotional realm.
Yes.
You know, when our emotions are uncontrollable and we don't know how to compartmentalize them and say, okay, there's a time to feel sad, there's a time to express this, express that. We have zero internal compass.
Yes.
We don't know where the fuck we're gonna go. You know? Yeah. So
That's
you know,
it.
like, and just to touch on the note of testosterone, like there's some truth where the higher testosterone levels, the more increased aggression a man possesses. But there are ways to channel that, and aggression is not a bad thing. You know, like how are we gonna stand up for ourselves? How are we gonna protect ourselves? You know, when you see a man with absolutely low testosterone, low self-confidence, low self-worth, it's hard for you to respect him.
Yeah.
And to believe that that's okay, like this propaganda where it's okay for a man to be submissive and stuff like that, I personally feel it's damaging men. I'm not asking men to be like me or to be like some machismo athlete kind of character, but you can channel your testosterone, you can channel that energy into anything else. You can
Yes.
be the best painter in the world, the best musician, like whatever of
Yes.
yourself that gives you that challenge. You can use that hormone to your benefit.
Yes.
You know? And one of the key supplements for me that's kept my testosterone high in the recent years, because the older you get, they naturally decline, is Shilajit. You know, and I know it's a big name in
blowing
up, yeah,
it's
in the
blowing.
wellness space. But Shilajit has one of the highest mineral compounds of any substance known to man.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You get everything. You can, you know, I use it almost on a daily basis. So yeah, that's something that I wish to promote as well.
Yeah. An extension, just briefly, an extension on the emotionality related to hormones and kind of making a little bit of a distinction. So I think it's worth noting that if, for men specifically, if your hormone levels are out of balance, if your testosterone is low, certain estrogens are too high, when you make the inversion and you start bringing your testosterone up, the thing to know also, yes, testosterone can correlate with like primal aggression, but the reason a lot of men who are transitioning to fixing their hormone levels get aggressive is because of anger that's been repressed by high estrogen. So when estrogen's high, you're chaotic. You don't, like you were saying, your emotional resiliency is low. Everything triggers you. You don't feel comfortable in your skin. You don't feel comfortable in your body when they're inverted. But when they're balanced, the initial balancing act, bringing it back up again, you're going to go through an adjustment period, an adaptation period, where you're probably going to be emotionally volatile, a little bit angry, because you've been literally out of balance and physiologically repressed. Those emotions have not been allowed to express themselves naturally because you've been in an unnatural physiological state. You've been in a state that's not right for you for a long time. And so when you rebalance it, there is an adaptation that has to happen.
Yeah, so true, so true. And yeah, like a man's testosterone should always be slightly higher than his estrogen levels. So it's not like estrogen has to be low. No,
Right.
we need estrogen.
No, we need
as well,
estrogen. Yeah.
but testosterone still has to be the dominant hormone involved. And you know, I'll also speak briefly, you know, as David was saying, about the things that like bring our testosterone levels low. It's pretty much everything. It's white light, it's plastic, it's the fluoride in our water, which has been literally proven to turn a frog's sex hormones the opposite and turn them actually into females, right? So there's so many things that's kind of imposed by some, I don't know, fucking hidden agenda by the Illuminati, whatever. But to literally attack that hormone in men. So yeah.
Clothes.
Yeah, clothes, synthetic
There we go.
fibers, right?
That's we're all of us. We're getting into now wearing like natural clothes,
Yeah, linen, 100% cotton.
and so on. Because the clothes now, like when you look at, it's just plastic.
uh,
When I got into this and I started looking through my wardrobe, and it's like 90% plastic. Like all these spandex and I don't know what they're called, but they did a study with dogs. I don't have the exact numbers, but they put these pants made from plastic on a dog, like these stretchy pants on a dog, and it almost completely stopped their sperm production. It was quick. I don't remember the exact number, but it was quick.
Wow.
It's like less than a month.
right.
So yeah,
That was polyester.
polyester.
That was polyester. So that's everything. That's like everything.
That's
Any
every underwear.
Yep.
Like it's so hard.
Underwear.
It's so hard to find underwear that's not made of plastic, and that's the most important part.
right.
Because it gets absorbed straight into your balls, and it fucks up your testosterone and your hormones, and
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which was yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to go deeper on one thing, and this is, definitely a bit controversial, but it's also this fucking agenda which pisses me off of over sexualizing our children, right? Like introducing sex at such a early age, where they even start questioning their fucking gender. And I get it. If you're born thinking you're in the wrong body, yeah, that's your karma, that's your life path, nothing against you. But like influencing children in that direction, I think that's one of the most evil, not evil, right? But one of the most fucked up things you can do.
Yes.
Because yeah, man, I mean,
To
like,
confuse a developing mind.
yeah,
To confuse a developing brain, a developing mind. Yeah.
Right. And I definitely believe it's part of some agenda. But yeah, no, okay, yeah, so yeah, we can backtrack a bit to the sexual energy and how, like, naturally I feel like, like releasing our seed is kind of it's kind of like okay, what I'm trying to say is that, like, women instinctively want to release our seed,
Right,
because,
correct.
like, it gives them so much energy as well. Like when we release our seed, like after sex, usually most of the time it's the man who finishes, right? Most of the time. But like, it's like a woman gets so energized by that experience. So a part of me thinks that part of how this natural matrix is formed is also like this whole material world is the feminine. That's my understanding of it. And the feminine wants us to keep giving into it, And I think the path for a man is really to allow himself to withdraw from this matrix altogether.
Yeah.
If you understand.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, that comes back to what we also talked about, which is just coming to the realization that you don't need any of it. You don't need anyone's approval either. You don't need to do what anyone wants you to do. You don't need to give anything or take anything or nothing. And so I think also the part with the woman is also, I mean, part of it is biological, of course. Like,
Yes.
like, of course I want her sperm because that's how we as a species survive. But then also it's also like a social programming. Like you can't program yourself out of it. You can't come to a point as a woman where you're like, no, I see the value in this and see the value in us sharing energy
Yes.
rather than you spilling your energy into me.
Right.
and then being left without it yourself. Yeah, so seeing the distinction between those.
Yeah, he's talking.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so if any women out there with partners, like allow your man to practice this, encourage him to practice this, I think that
It will feed back to you
feedback to you
in amazing ways.
is going to give you more pleasure. It's going to give you more satisfaction in the long run when you can encourage your man to keep his energy.
And Max, could you maybe talk about this article that you told me about the couple who started practicing this and their story?
Sure. So that's an inroad into the later stages of my semen retention journey. I read, so the article is, the title is Sex. That's the title of the article. I'm trying to recall the authors, but it's a couple who wrote this 20 page article about basically how they've been relating for the last 22 years of marriage. And this gets really interesting, but initially the man was doing semen retention and not coming in their sexual encounters for 4 or 5 years. But his partner, his wife, still was climaxing. Then at some point, both of them decided that neither one of them was going to climax 100% ever again when they would have sex. Neither one of them. And they break down first the emotional sort of interconnecting, like deeper relating that they were able to do as a result of her also stopping from going above what they would say 85%. So in any sexual encounter that they would have, they would cap the arousal at 85%. And if it got near the point where that was unmanageable and it was getting too frustrating, they would slow down and then they would stop. And they did this for like 18 years. And then they got into the science of it. And turns out that from the scientific side, when a woman climaxes, there's different climaxes for women, so we'll put that out there. But in general, the same rush that happens to a man in his brain happens to a woman in her brain. So we have the conception that when we come, we're having this drop. We're having a drop in hormonal vigor. We're having a drop in dopamine. We're having a drop in these things temporarily. But if the climax is strong enough for a woman, it happens the same. It just happens only in her brain, right? And what they've noted and what this couple did in their research was they showed that the post-sexual depression that would happen in men when they would release also happens in women when they go too far. When they're too hypo-aroused in a sexual encounter, they have the same snapback. And what they noted was that couples that would, so they not only did this themselves, but they taught this for years to other couples, and all of the couples had the same experience. And it's basically like that period of that refractory period after the encounter, like a really strong sexual encounter, they wouldn't have the, what do you want to call it? The fights and the emotional disturbance and the things between each other would just go away entirely. Pretty much straight away. The minute they started doing it, I think in the article, it was like maybe a week into it, most of the couples that they were teaching to do it, it was a week in, they had no more fighting. They got along perfectly. They never fought about anything. They understood each other almost intuitively. Like they could feel each other's energy and just know each other energetically, and they wouldn't have any fights. And so the women, obviously, check this out, but the women had a harder time. So the men would be like, yeah, okay, like that sounds good. I don't want to fight as much. I want to get along. I don't want to talk about money and get, and then the women would put up more of a like, oh yeah, I don't want to give up my orgasm. Like it turned into a thing where like most of the groups they work with, it was the women who were fighting back the most. And the men were like, yeah, but if it does what they say it's going to do, then why? So I thought that was interesting too, but anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, so I don't, in my relationships, it's kind of been like back and forth, and I haven't been able to, in a relationship, hold it for like a long time, just like stints. But what I notice it's quite amazing. Like, this feeling that you have, like when you are aroused and you're so attracted to this other person and you just want to be with them and you want to be close to them and you have this like intimacy and you like feel so connected. And then you spill the cup of Hermes and then that kind of just disappears. Not completely, but to some degree. You don't have the same like, it's like, all right, let's do something.
Right. Exactly.
And so that was the main thing for me. Like, if I don't spill it, then that never ends. And I mean, if you're able to like handle or move the frustration, then that's the most awesome feeling ever when you're like that all the time, you know? As I mean, for me, that's like a personal goal to come to that point where I can be in a relationship, keep what I'm doing now going, and always be in this state of like, yeah, like we're so attracted to each other and we're so intimate with each other, and you know, it never ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to say, I just on a side note about what I also just shared from that article, you will still get what you're describing, even if your partner's not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think men also can just take with them. If you practice semen retention for a while and your partner is cool and encouraging, you're gonna get what you just talked about, and she's gonna feel it from you. So she's gonna get that, oh, this is benefiting our relationship in the way you see me, and that you always find me sexy, you always find me alluring. That's gonna be there. Even if she doesn't wanna, practice alongside, you still get that. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting, like that story was fucking fascinating. But like I guess, we can also just touch on like as men, and perhaps, the three of us are pretty fucking similar, right?
Mm.
We agree on most things. Definitely looking after the body, definitely traveling in other dimensions, definitely in the way even female and male dynamics work. And I guess like I don't want to get too deep on perhaps religious conditioning about it, but from my understanding of relationships and dynamics and spiritual work now, which I'm by far a master or an expert on, the frame that a man keeps in a relationship with a woman is almost as if he has to just be a unshakable tree that allows whatever of the feminine storm to come up, but that can also provide shelter for the feminine to rest under, to sing her song, to express herself. And I mean, there's a lot of topics now about like, like 50-50 or how a relationship should work. What are your guys' opinion in terms of that dynamic? As like, there's the more traditional route, which is, the man's the provider, the woman stays home looking after the children. Yeah, can you share a bit about your views on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Here we go. Yeah. I got right. I think we've talked about this, Rafa, quite a lot, I think. And I think that there's a lot. I think that there's room for nuance, I guess, is where I'll start. I think that there's room for nuance when we're talking about like traditional roles and how we think about what that is, because at least for my part and what I'm noticing is that the traditional imperative that men would be providers and protectors, in the culture we have today, unless you're completely outside of it, is no longer required. Women don't have to any longer have a man do those roles. They can outsource those roles. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying they have that ability now to outsource some of that protection, some of that people providing. And I mean, yeah, this is controversial no matter how we spin it. But just to say, I don't know if that's a good thing. And I think it does. I think from a polarity standpoint, it robs women of the opportunity to go really deep with one person, or let's, even if it's not one person, just to go deep with the masculine presence that they need to heal themselves is being sacrificed on this altar of whatever, I can find it elsewhere. That's the new paradigm. I make more money than you. A woman can say now, I make more money. Everybody can work and make the amount of money they want to make. If they want to work hard, they can. And so now we're kind of going backwards in time to, okay, but like what's going to feel good to you? What's going to feel good to your body? What's going to feel good? Like, how long do you want to do this? How long can you do this? Because as men, we want to do this. Like as men, we like doing this. Like I like making money and providing and protecting and being that person. It's natural to me. do you really want to hold those roles up? And if you do, you know, again, how long? How long can you maintain this? And what is the cost you're paying on every level to do it that way? What's the cost? And there's a high cost.
Yeah, 100.
There's a high cost.
Yeah, 100%. Like even though you like being the provider, the protector, to have that archetype, it's like you don't want your woman to not be able to help you out or to support you if
Right.
it's natural, or if you're going through a tough period financially, to have your woman kind of step in. Because, you know, in a traditional sense, like, you know, men go to war, the women have to step up,
Hmm.
and then they are the second line of defense for the children.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
So I
Yep.
think roles, of course, like to us, we lean towards one type of predicament, but I think roles can be fluid up to a certain point where, you know, it's not so set in stone. If there's
Yes.
sickness or illness or struggle financially, where a woman can step up. But I guess we both, and I'm sure David as well, agree on that front, that we feel the most empowered when we are the ones that are, you know, providing and making sure the material is in order.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
I one little side note, and Ben, our brother Ben told me this, and there was a bunch of research about this that I thought was really interesting. But just to say, I think it's also now, because of the culture and the way society is structured, important that women at least know that they have the capacity and the ability to have their own money and to earn their own money, so that they can know that they're not only staying with a man because he's doing that thing for them. And what I'm doing, all I'm saying is, like, you could end up with the wrong guy just because you know that you can't survive without this person in your life. Like, you haven't developed the skills, you don't know how to do anything, and this person's protecting you and providing for you, but maybe that's not the right guy for you. And I've seen this a lot. So I think that, like, you know, and I'm not telling women to do anything. I'm just saying I think that's an interesting inverted idea about the whole dynamic. Because if you know you have the capacity, it's like what you were saying about pornography and about whatever, that, like, when you sustain not having it long enough, now you don't need it. And it's the same thing. When you know that you can do this thing for yourself, well, then you don't have to have someone else do it for you, but you might still be welcoming that they can.
Yeah.
Like, you can say yes to it, but you're saying yes to it from a place of stability and safety. You're not saying yes to it out of scarcity and fear.
Yeah. And also the other way. So, like, for me, you know, to each their own, and, you know, do whatever the fuck you want is my primary kind of philosophy in life. But
No, it's not, buddy.
fair. But and again, it's not about like a woman's capacity. It's about like as you said, what do I want to do? Well, I want to provide. I want to carry the bags. I want to fix the things that are broken, and I want someone who kind of cherishes that and kind of lifts that up. And it's like, hey, could you fix this? This thing is broken. And it's not about like, oh, you're so tiny, like you can't do anything. No, it's you. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure you can open the pickle jar yourself. But I appreciate it. Like,
Yes.
it warms my heart
Yes. Yeah.
when you are like, oh, baby, like this pickle jar is like, you're so could you do it for me?
Yeah.
You know, or like, oh, this thing is broken, could you fix it? Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Right.
I'll fix it, I'll carry it, I'll do this, I'll do that. Not because you can't,
Right.
but because I want to, and it makes me feel so good. And we have, I mean, I guess all over the world, but especially Europe and perhaps the States, also this thing of this pushback of this, where it's like, no, I can open my own door and I can carry my own bags, the women are saying. And it's like, yeah, I know. You know, it's not about that.
Right.
It's about I really enjoy doing it. And I mean, do you really enjoy doing it?
Right.
Or are you doing it to make a point that you can do it? So again, like, it feels it's a lot about, for me, where does it come from?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think women are also scared to give up full control, because, like, yeah, there's a like I feel like some women who have struggled their whole lives to build something of themselves, like a career or like a certain status, like, and to like suddenly change that. Okay, I need I can just surrender and let my man take care of anything. It's so hard.
Mm.
It's so hard for anyone.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do,
for anyone. Yeah, that's
And
right.
and I think that's also due to men not being able to step up and commit when times are needed. So there's of course a balance there, and yeah, like I guess like my suggestion for the audience is just to push the boundaries of what you're comfortable with.
Mm.
Like in any direction. Like if you're in a more traditional role, maybe the man can just loosen up a bit and see what it's like just to relax more into it instead of putting that pressure. If you're not in a traditional role, maybe you can slowly see what it's like also to
Yes.
give your husband or your boyfriend the lead most of the time, for
Mm.
example. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I love that.
yeah.
No, that's awesome.
But it also comes down to like, like that's why I don't like the word submissive, because I don't think a woman or a man should be submissive. Like I submit to you. I like the term trust or surrender or faith.
Yes.
Like see what it's like. Cause like, yeah, like when someone's taking the lead of something, even if let's say you or David's taking the lead in a certain project or whatever, even if there's certain things I might disagree with,
Mm.
because I have love for you and I trust you as a person, and we've had lots of experiences and connection between us, I will still just surrender and be like, at the end of the day, he knows what he's doing. I'm going to trust that it's going to work out.
Yes.
And I prefer that term
Yes.
more than submissive, and I see a lot of propaganda that is obviously targeted to piss people like me off, where it's like, oh, a man should be submissive, a man should be submissive. But at the end of the day, if a man is submissive, in my head, what that translates to is when the time comes, which we live in a modern world, it's pretty safe here in the West, in Southeast Asia. But if so happens by fate, you're put in a situation where you have to get physical to protect, the man has to be the one.
Yeah.
Like we are just biologically stronger.
Yes.
Like that is a fact.
Yes.
Everything else, financially, yes, a woman can make way more money than a man.
Right.
Emotionally, maturity wise, but biologically, we are stronger.
Mm.
And if we are just so used to submission
Right.
to anybody,
Yeah.
when the time comes for a minute, how are we gonna protect anyone on a physical level, which is what this world is? It's a physical plane.
Yes. Yeah.
All our ancestors for the past hundreds and thousands of years have just been so used to death and violence. Like that's in us.
Right.
That's in us, But yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great, bro. Yeah.
Oosh. Okay, so we're all kind of together because of the medicine, and I want you guys' opinion on what the proper method would be for for a man struggling with perhaps depression, suicide, mental illness.
Addiction.
Addiction. And maybe we don't have to jump straight into plant medicine at the start, but what are the things that allow a man to overcome that struggle? And I'm gonna just mention one, and maybe you guys can add. And the main thing for me that has, besides medicine work, is brotherhood. And that's also the whole reason why we're here. Like having a group of men to bond intimately with has given me so much strength and courage to face the challenges that I go through. And I think community is a big source of my happiness, not just brotherhood, but
Yes.
like everyone involved in the community, which men nowadays have this like warped idea to be, as we mentioned before, like the lone wolf, everything done by myself, fuck everyone else.
Right.
And I think that is also an extremely unhealthy
Yes.
mindset to have.
Yes.
Can you guys touch on?
David, you want to start?
Well, I have some things I want to say, but you go first, and I'll add on to it.
Okay. Well, just segueing off, I think we've talked about this before, and I have a strong intuition that addiction, depression, let's say, even different mental disorders. They all interconnect, and community and tribe. Not only do I know from personal experience, as all of us here do, that is the best antidote at a very base level, at a foundational level for mental health and for feeling safe in your body. That foundation is right at the top of the list, in my opinion. And I actually kind of feel that if that foundation is present and you're willing to do the work to build that in your life, medicine, other things, these become curiosity. These become, I'm interested because I'm curious about it. They become things about even philosophical inquiries into the nature of things, into the nature of myself, the nature of God and the universe, whatever it might be. Those tools are not, they're no longer about trying to heal something inside yourself only, because the thing that a lot of people who are isolated are trying to heal is exactly the thing that can only be healed by community and by tribe. So without that foundation, you're trying to fix something that you cannot fix without that foundation. That foundation has to be there for it to stick. Without it, you're isolated, you're alone, and you don't even realize that that isolation is causing your, afflictions. So for me, I mean, like, we've talked a lot about this, and I know we're going to get more into men's work, but same as you, Rafa, that getting into men's work and having men that not only I can rely on, but that I can see on a regular basis, and that we know we're going to make the time for that, because that's the most important thing for our health and for our mental we're going to make that time. Even if I have a partner, even if I have kids, it doesn't matter. I can't outsource this any other way. It's not, medicine's not going to do it. Meditation's not going to do it. We're not wired that way. We're wired to be together, and we're wired to work through problems in an interconnected kind of way. That's how we work them out.
Yeah.
And our body knows that. Our body knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. And however, if we step back a little bit further and see like more like fundamental things that has helped me a lot. I mean, like brotherhood, community, that's like, you can't do it without it. But if you look a little bit like on how to approach the work or the healing or whatever it is, I found a lot of benefit in. It's okay. So a little bit backstory. I have a friend in Finland. I'll keep it anonymous, but he's a very, very intelligent guy. He's a mathematician, and he's into like composing music through mathematical algorithms and sacred geometry, and he doesn't sleep really. He just sits and his eyes like this and does all these mathematical formulas, and he's a brainiac. So I really enjoyed talking to him, and I used to come to him to discuss different matters and get advice on things and so on, because I really respected him. And this was back when I was getting into spirituality, and I was reading, where you start fucking Joe Dispenza and manifestation and all these energetic things. And I came to him. I was curious what he was going to say, because he's a scientific man. He's a very scientific man. So I asked him, so what do you think about this? Like, is this the way it is? Is this true? He said, well, I mean, it's a system. And the truthfulness of a system comes from its usefulness.
Right.
So it's like, you take this system, you take this theory, you apply it onto your reality, and if it works, if you're gaining something out of it, well, then it's true. That's the truth. And so yeah, this thing has been so beneficial for me to have these different models, and to stop being so obsessed about what's true or not true, and real and not real, and no, it's like this, no, it's like that. Again, we go into this where everybody's just fighting and want to be right. Like, who gives a fuck what's right and what's true? It's about what works. And so like, for example, when I've been working with myself and my, whatever you want to call it, trauma healing, it's been a lot about applying these models of, like, for example, well, first of all, you have an addiction, which means you have a pain and you want to work with the pain. And so you get I got caught up in like being a person who's in pain, which makes it quite cumbersome to work with. Like, it doesn't give me any tools. Like, all right, I'm a person and I have trauma. Like, I am this pain. I get engulfed by the pain. But instead, first of all, and I think this is the key, this is the first step of everything, is taking a step back and realizing yourself as awareness. Like, I am the thing which sees this thing. I'm not pain, I'm not suffering, I'm not even a person. I'm emanating through this personality. And so I take a step back, I realize myself as awareness, and already then I have much more space and I'm not so attached anymore. Doesn't fix the problem. I still feel it, but it's much more spacious. And then I look at this person and I see a body. And this body is, it's like an energetic system, which it truly is, science and everything. It's an energetic system. And through this system, you have energy moving. It's energy in motion. It's emotions. Emotions are moving through this system. And so then my job is to be awareness, is to be the space, and to let these things, these motions, these energetic motions move through me without obstructing them, which I do through distraction or doing something other than feeling. So really here comes in what we talked about earlier, like feeling is healing and the only way out is true. And now I have this system where it's like, I'm a space. I hold space for this energy to move through the system. And if I don't do that, then this energy gets stuck and creates knots and entanglements, which can create like physical ailments or psychological issues. So again, like using these kind of models has been extremely helpful for me. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the core. And then I can apply that to anything, to community, to friendship, to relationships, to working with different problems, whatever it is. And not, again, be so obsessed with what is right or wrong, but just what works or not.
So how would you recommend that to men to start to find a way to develop this awareness or spaciousness in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, so, all right, everybody's not going to agree with this, but I think a lot of people, I mean, the core thing is, of course, like spiritual work, meditation or whatever, but it feels like, and again, people going to not agree with this, but it feels like a lot of people, they get lost in the concentration part of things. Like meditation and spiritual work is about emptying the mind and making like a blank slate, which, maybe for some people that's practical. For me, that seems very far away, and it doesn't really seem to get me that much closer to what I really am. So it's more about, for me, my meditations is more about connecting with the space around it. And I mean, as how I were taught in the beginning was to open up to the space through, for example, sound. So you close your eyes and you hear the sounds. You hear the sounds in the room. They might be subtle, but there's sounds. And so that creates a space. These sounds is appearing in a space. And then you just move your focus from the sounds to the space. And now you're in yourself. Now you're giving focus, you're giving awareness to awareness. Because awareness permeates everything. It is everywhere at all times, and it can be as spacious or as contracted as you want it to be, because we get in this concept of like, I'm in my head and I'm looking out. But actually I'm once you start doing this, you realize that no, I'm everywhere at all times. And it's just about like connecting with that. And then that's the practice of always, there's of course much more depth to it and more things to uncover there, but that's kind of the base of it, to just start connecting with the space and expanding your awareness out of your head into the space. And just as a pre-step before that is fucking yoga nidra. Starting to connect with your body. Like just move out of your head into your body at least. Already that expands it, and you realize that, oh, I'm not some guy in a head, I'm a body.
Right.
Yeah.
And you expand it further and you realize, and so on and so on.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, that practice is something that I'm also very encouraging of. But it's like for a man who has no concept of spirituality or medicine or even self-work,
Mm.
I feel that, like, it's starting to just change dialogue in your head about the stories that you tell yourself. So if you're a man and you're fucking depressed and you're suicidal and you just keep reminding yourself, oh, nothing's gonna change, it's never gonna get better, then it's exactly gonna be what dialogue that you are explaining to yourself every single moment, And I just encourage men who are going through a hard time to really just say to themselves, I want to change. I want my life to get better.
Mm.
I believe I can be happy. And just changing that dialogue allows you to open up a lot of things. Because, as we know, a lot of men, they get too attached to the roles and identities that they've built for themselves. Like, especially like successful career men. It's like, no, I don't need anyone's fucking help. I built this business. I'm a millionaire, blah, 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 blah. But if you want to stay stuck there and not be open to the idea that something else other than what you've been so used to your whole life can give you an opportunity to be happier, man, I don't know what can help that. It just starts from being open.
Right.
Hey, why don't I just like join a hiking group and meet people and talk to people? Hey, why don't I assess the friends that I'm hanging out with? If you're going to the fucking bar and club every single night and you're having superficial conversations with the people that you're supposed to be closest with, what's that gonna do to your psyche?
Mm.
What's that gonna reflect back into your environment? And you can test this out. I mean, like, you can when you're on this healing self-improvement journey and then you start reconnecting with your parents and you touch on something a bit deeper and they just shun it off straight away. You don't want to be around that energy, but you can push the boundaries,
Mm.
You can use it to assess what type of people you're hanging out with. If I'm with my friend and I'm going through a hard time and I'm telling him I'm suicidal and he's got nothing for me. He's just like, "Oh, you'll be fine, man. Just have another beer or whatever." You're hanging out with the wrong
Yeah.
people. It's not going to change your life at all.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would suggest to men is change the dialogue. Assess the people that you are spending valuable time with. Assess your relationships, the depth of your relationships. Yes, the deeper you go, the more you're going to feel. But when two people are in a consensus that they will both grow together, it's going to be so much more beneficial
Mm.
than just to avoid touching deep subjects.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
An extension just on both of those points. I think we're all really good at bridging when we have a conversation and we're able to infuse every point back to just at
10 minutes left.
oh, okay. Just as a bridge. So kind of bridging what David was saying and what you were saying, Raf, I think in terms of depression, suicidal ideation, addiction, these sorts of things, what David's alluding to is the need for more space, more awareness to be able to have a higher capacity to hold the things that are uncomfortable. I'm interpreting my own way, to hold the things that are uncomfortable. But also, as we know about people with suicidal ideation and addiction, back to the point of community and back to the point of tribe, there's a dispersion of energy that happens when we're with other people. There's a dispersion of anxiety that happens when we're with people that are meeting us at a deeper level in trust and they want what's best for us. That disperses anxious energy. That disperses, so things that build up in our system. So just to bring it home to the awareness bit, if I'm not able to sit alone with myself, to do a practice, to develop awareness, that doesn't mean that practice isn't good for me. That doesn't mean I'm unable to do it. It just means there might be a stage progression I need to walk through to be able to do that eventually.
Yeah.
And maybe having people around me first is what my nervous system needs to feel safe, to feel held,
Yeah.
to feel seen. And once I feel safe, held, and seen, then I can start to work on these deeper levels of my own internal awareness process. But I can't do it from a place of fear and anxiety and panic in my body.
Right.
It's and we know this because we've all had people, friends who have committed suicide. I know a few, and in talking to them before it happened, that was the only thing that they could see. They could not feel anything other than anxiety and fear to just be in a body.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to say one thing. If you're feeling fucking depressed and you see a psychiatrist or a doctor and he recommends SSRIs, benzodiazepines, or any mood regulators, get the fuck away from there. Those are the worst addictions. I was watching this fucking video on YouTube, and this guy, he went around to every psychologist, he went around to maybe 10 different psychiatrists and had individual sessions with them. They all said the same script, they all provided the same diagnosis, and then they all prescribed the same medication within the first session. He did another video where he went around to 5 or 6 different psychiatrists, and he asked them, how many clients have you healed and cured in the past 6 years? And none of them could even say one. So
Right.
yeah, that I just have to, because when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and I was fucked up, I went to maybe around 10 different psychologists, therapists, and psychiatrists, prescribed a ton of SSRIs, and they all did fucking shit for me. But if you do find the right therapist who can literally listen,
Yes.
give you the right feedback and reflect your life, then it's gold. But
Yeah.
have discernment.
Well,
Have discernment. And
yeah.
if they suggest on the first session prescription medication, fuck that person, get the fuck away from them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it.
And to again a little bit add to that, like personally, I agree with you 100%. I had a therapist, so I went on SSRIs after rehab for a while, because I had a really good therapist who, again, like as you said, like listened to me, took me into account, had specialty in the exact things that I was going through, and she was just amazing. And she, after like, I think we were about 1 year into 6 months or 1 year into our relation, our professional relationship, and she then said, "Oh, hey, David, maybe you should consider an SSRI, and I think this one will be like really good for you, and we'll go through it together." So I think in this kind of context, where you have a therapist, you have a relationship, and this therapist is also aware of your medication and is recommending something after she's assessed you for some time, and you have a plan for it. I think that's one thing. Same goes for ADHD medication.
Right.
Like never go to a doctor and just get a prescription and go home and not see anyone after that. Like you need someone, some kind of professional that you're constantly meeting with, so that you're working on this psychological part of it. And then the medicine can be like a little addition to that.
Buffers.
Yeah, a buffer. As she put it, like she said, this work will be just a little bit faster. This method. You can't do it without also, is what she said. It's going to take some more time.
And did she plan also to have you wean off or taper off it, or what?
Yeah, my therapist, she was quite special.
Right.
And she said, because I asked her like, how long should I take this? And she said, it will fall off when it's ready. And that's what happened to me. Like our therapeutical work just progressed until a point where I didn't need it anymore. And one day I just realized I haven't been taking this for like 2 weeks now. Right. And I didn't have any withdrawals. And that's what she said also. If you do it at the right time and you're doing the work, then the withdrawals, it's going to be minimal.
Right.
For me, it was 0.
Yep.
So just
yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I don't want to demonize SSRIs, but
just hold multiple perspectives.
But from my knowledge, SSRIs literally do the opposite of what ayahuasca does. So like ayahuasca helps promote the health of our neural network, and even repairs and even re-stimulates dominant neurons in our brain. And SSRIs do the opposite. They numb, they blunt, and they damage the neural synapses in our brain. That's just where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I just wanted to say one more thing related to what you said, which is you were talking about, but having the right kind of people around you, find the right kind of therapies, doing the right kind of decisions and so on, but also like really dialing in the words that you use, like realizing the power that words have over you and your development. Like, as you said, like if you're in your head and you're just telling yourself all this shit every day, like that's the reality. That's gonna become a reality. So like practicing using the right, also when you're talking with other people, like how are you talking about yourself?
Right.
How are you describing your situation? Are you overly focusing on just the bad parts, or are you with your words trying to come to a solution or trying to like move it forward? Yeah. So I just wanted to underline that, like the report, because a lot of people, they completely forget about this and they just keep on in their heads. And I've been there.
Yeah.
Right. Repeating all the same things over. This sucks. This sucks. This sucks. This sucks. And yeah, well, it's gonna suck, man.
100%. Oh yeah, just not even with yourself. It's like when you repeat words or around a certain story that you've built in your head, like, oh, I'm never gonna find that job that I want, or oh, my mom's never gonna change, or whatever. You're just reinforcing this matrix that you've created. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, abracadabra. This is, it comes from, it's not, it comes from this old language. I don't remember the name right now, but it comes from an old language, and it means, you create as you speak.
Right.
You create as you speak. And I mean, that's so true.
That's, yeah.
But then, so another trap I fell into when I started with this work, and I was trying to change the words. So I was kind of in a battle with myself. There were two people trying to like overpower each other. So to then first be like, become the space, give yourself some more space, and hold these thoughts and not see them as coming from you, but as some like unresolved part of yourself, or from some deep part of yourself, which is like scared and which is insecure, which needs love.
Yes.
And compassion and recognition. Again, it's this, you're this system and you need to give it space to move. So not to silence the voices, but to hold them and be like I got you. You can be mad and you can be sad, and I understand. That's not the way it is, but
right.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
To hold yourself and hold all parts of yourself like a little child. I think that's also very important.
Yeah, I mean that's why I tell my clients, is like the worst thing you can do in regards to addiction is literally punishing yourself after you've committed that addiction. It's not even the addiction itself.
Right.
It's just rephrasing the words. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. I fucked up again. Oh, why did I do this to myself? Because that's the loop that you're gonna get yourself into.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess to finish off, maybe we can touch on if anyone is looking towards the path of medicine, indigenous plant medicine, to heal addiction or depression or suicidal thoughts. What would the steps be for that, and what medicines would you guys recommend a first timer or someone who's experienced?
That's a big, yeah.
It take to leave you. So.
I suppose I would just, this is just in my own experience and also in the people that I work with, I would say that as a general principle, if you're in an active addiction and you haven't done this kind of work before, plant medicine, psychedelic medicine work, I think that microdosing as a premise is a really good starting point. I think working with, just in general, so starting, and let's just say, starting very manageable and starting at a level where you're not re-traumatizing your body or your nervous system with really extreme experiences straight away. So you're doing something gentle that your body feels safe about, that you feel safe about long term. And then when you start to build a little more capacity and awareness, you can start to gently ramp it up. Now, I have, of course, seen the opposite, and we all have. We've many, many times when people go right into the deep end, and on occasion, it works. On occasion it works, and that's awesome. But I would say in the aggregate, that's a more rare example. In my experience, that's a rarer thing. So just to say, building up capacity and safety in the body and the nervous system through microdosing, I think is good. In terms of something like actually in particular, I think psilocybin is great. I think that psilocybin microdosing is really good on a number of levels. It does a lot for the nervous system that not very many things can do. And it's very safe, and you can do it every other day, pretty much continuously with no negative repercussions.
Right.
On an extension of that, and maybe David will pick this up too, but on an extension of that, I would also say that Iboga is a really powerful medicine as a microdosing medicine specifically for people who are dealing with addictive tendencies. And I think that above and beyond anything else, even if you never want to do a full journey with any of these medicines, that's totally cool. But you can experience a lot of the physiological benefits from microdosing Iboga. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's such a good point. Like, if I knew what I knew now back then, I would slowly take it up a notch. And I know that's not ideal for most people because they get into these massive psychedelic experiences in a recreational environment. But if you do have some conscious awareness of it, yeah, microdosing is a great way to start. If you do want to start off with a big dose and you're not with a professional, then I would suggest set and setting to be your main focus. Don't do 5 grams of mushrooms at a fucking club. Don't do 5 grams of mushrooms in some 50th floor apartment in the middle of New York. Set and setting is important. Feel safe in your environment before you do a full dose. Have some sort of reverence where it's like, yeah, maybe you believe in psychedelics or you don't believe in psychedelics, but it's like if you go to a temple or a church, you might not believe in Jesus, you might not Yahusha, his real name, Baruch Hashem, Yahusha. You might not believe in Yeshua or Buddha, but you still have respect. And that's the same approach you take with psychedelics. You don't understand it, at least have reverence, at least have respect, you know. And yeah, and we've all had experiences with Iboga. I think we can all agree that this is one of, if not the most powerful transformative medicine for someone who's dealing with any sort of addiction.
Yeah.
Any sort of addiction.
Yes.
The way that, even more than ayahuasca, the way that it can just rewire your thought patterns is unlike anything, like, yeah, like
Yes.
it's fucking hard. It's a hard journey.
Yeah. Let's not
You need
mince
to do it
words.
with proper people.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I agree with everything that's been said. I could also add that very important to be like really, really fucking honest with yourself. If you're doing this like in an early stage where you just got sober, like personally, I didn't. I got clean through rehab, quitting cold turkey, going to first detox, then rehab, then halfway house, like a multiple year kind of thing. And NA, I did NA for 2 years also. And so just saying that, like, be really, really honest, like, where is this coming from? Because it's so easy in the beginning to trick yourself into being like, oh yeah, well, this is, I can do this because it's healing, right?
Right.
So yeah, so be really honest. But if the intention is pure and it's really from a desperate of like, no, I really, like, I want to get out of this.
I'm ready.
I'm ready to quit this. Then working with someone who has experience with these kind of things, then I think that could be a good idea. And as you said, like Iboga, I wouldn't recommend anything else than Iboga, really. Especially if you're talking in the beginning.
Right.
Like later, okay, yeah, I get that. Like you've been sober for some years, you have some trauma that you want to work on. There's multitudes of things then. But you're in active addiction, like you can't quit it. I mean, I would say Iboga.
Yes.
It's the only. But then again, like Iboga, it's a mountain, and you need to find some professional people who knows what they're doing and who can really keep you safe during this time, and be prepared.
It's Mount Everest. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and like I know as a man, You know, my whole teenage and 20s, I was just fucking insecure and confused. And I only start to feel my own power from all these fucked up experiences hit me when I'm in my 30s, you know? And I think if you're a young man and you're going through struggles, um, develop discernment of the people you want to really listen to, and don't just listen to someone because he's there, or don't just listen and believe something because it feels good. Develop your discernment as a young man, because you're gonna hear all sorts of shit from an infinite amount of sources. But it's up to you to go through that own personal experience, and to forge your own path, and to forge your own set of beliefs, morals, and values. Even with us, take what we say with a pinch of salt. If it interests you, it interests you. If it doesn't, it's all good. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to leave this episode with?
Just a note on when we talked momentarily about purpose, and just to kind of an extension of purpose for me, and I think that a lot of men will relate to this, is your relationships, your addictions, all of these things, having having a relationship to something above yourself. And that can be a mentor, that can be God, the creator, that can be the universe, it can be however you formulate it. But I feel that juxtaposition of having something above you is fundamental. And if you don't have that, if you don't have the trust in something more powerful, more wise, an elder, whatever it might be, you're missing a very big component of what people have walked this path before. And there are people who have done it very well. And they've sorted out a lot of things, and however they did it doesn't matter, but those people are still here. And so we have those mentors, we have those elders available. And then also just internally, at least for me, having a sense of God, my creator, is foundational to keeping me straight and narrow. And I didn't know that when I was a teenager. I didn't know that when I was in addiction myself. That was not even on the table. I could give a fuck. But once it came on the table, now it's just like, oh yeah, that was part of this centerpiece of community and creator and, mentors, etc., that men just need in order to feel like comfortable inside themselves, to feel confident, all the bits. So
Yeah. It's a little bit like Owen Cook who said it. Like, it's one thing to have swagger, like you're a rapper and you have a lot of status and you have cars and money and like you're cool and all of this, but the real swagger is realizing that you're an eternal being and the son of God. Like that, yeah, that's
the real swag.
that's how you get like social. That's how you win at life.
Yeah.
Nothing can touch you anymore.
Yeah. Like, he also says, like, I'm a fat ginger with more confidence than 99% of you. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
For joining.
Ush.
Ush. I'm gonna post our socials in the description. Please reach out for any of service that we can provide you. And yeah, don't be scared. Don't hesitate as well. We also run a men's group here with 20-30 over brothers, which is something we're cultivating as well. So if you are interested, please ask about that as well. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening. If you made it this far, and if you like this, this shit isn't free. So like, help share the podcast, or you want to donate, that's cool as well. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Ish.
House.
Went a little long. Look a bit tired. I saw the 10-minute thing and who to speak. Yeah.
Has this been recording at the end? It wasn't just 30 minutes? Okay, come here. Okay. Okay. Doesn't matter.
How long was this?